To see examples of what we talked about on this episode, along with further information, go to bunchofdorks.com.
Welcome, everyone, to
Two Dimension Podcast,
the comic book podcast
With No Direction. Two-dimension. Two-dimension. What's up, everybody? You know that song, you know this voice. It's me, Rook. Joining me, as always, is the man who keeps it all together, Mr. Don Moore.
Hello, everybody.
Don, what is going on, buddy? This is an interesting show. It's you and me, not in the same room, no guest.
But we have something to talk about.
Oh, we certainly do.
We had a book sent in actually quite a while ago, and but we're just now getting to it. We told the creator it'll be on this time. I have to say I'm really happy with it. It's a book called Cosmyx. It's spelled Cosmyx, The Time Witch, which is we got digital files. It's a manga style comic. It's not a manga style. It is a manga comic, even though it's created here in the United States. And on the cover, I just have to point out, it says enter magical first issue with grayscale action.
I thought the grayscale action was a cute touch because, you know, like when you're going through the book, I mean, if it was just pure black, white, no grayscaling, I think it would still come off pretty well. But for the character, you know, because in manga, the biggest thing is that there's not a differentiate, a good way to differentiate skin tone.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's, you know, line work. So I think the grayscaling was a cute addition on the front, and it was done so well throughout the book. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
The artist did a great job, you know, just getting all the shading and everything in all the right spots, you know, throughout the course of the whole book.
That's one thing. We talked the last episode about Michael Golden. And I really liked the Spartan X series. It's never finished, but I enjoyed it a lot. It was printed by Top Comics in color, and then it was printed again in Image in black and white. And Renee Winterstatter, when I bought those issues from her, she said she thinks that's the best way to do Michael's artwork. I agree. It's really nice in black and white. But in that case, I wish there were some grayscales to it, gray tones, because it added a depth. There's a lot of information in Michael Golden work. And that's kind of how I feel about this one. The grayscales was a nice touch. It was a nice look. But just off the bat, before we talked about the book, I'm kind of surprised and overwhelmed at it because it's been created and written by, you know, a writer, and an artist came in and drew it. And I'll tell you, it's in sync. It's in sync all the way through, which surprises me. It's a unique story. I looked it up, and I keep seeing comparisons to Sailor Moon.
Yes.
I raised a daughter, so I know Sailor Moon quite well. I've watched it with her. We've got Sailor Moon posters in the house to this day.
You're talking to a man who is married to a Sailor Moon obsessive at one point in her life.
But I see what they're coming. You know, what when people compare what they're coming from, it's a young girl that in Sailor Moon is kind of undisciplined, and how she kind of grows into the role. You know, matures and grows. But honestly, I raised a kid. I raised a girl.
Yeah.
That's kind of a story. And I wasn't a girl ever in my life, but I grew up awkward and undisciplined. So,
yeah, well, I could tell you it ain't much different raising a boy. So,
so, you know, I mean, I wouldn't compare it to Sailor Moon because it's a different kind of thing. It's a different kind of character. I really enjoyed this thing.
it was a fun read, man, you know, and there's a lot of teenage awkwardness, through the book, and it's comedic at points. That it's got action, but it's a great opener to what I hope is a long run series, because
Me too.
this is just the opening chapter here. The way the book ends absolutely leaves it open to let you know that there's so much more going to happen, along with some of the various things that happen in the book. There's some parts in that definitely allude to a lot more in this world. And, uh, like I said, great place to start right from the origin point and go into the storyline. I dig it.
That's it is something I really like. Again, as I always bring up, your eye knew where to go. Even
Mm-hmm.
though sometimes the panels were dynamic, very beautifully arranged. They weren't just a grid, kind of like how a lot of manga is, but it wasn't confusing. I always knew where to go. Uh, my one criticism on this, and it's a mild criticism, but when she's running late from school and she meets up with this one girl with her two cohorts, and you can tell right away this is a girl they're not friends. The girl's being kind of, I don't know, not nice.
Right. Yeah.
But at one
It's
point she
bully.
says she points out she got her because of her leg, and the girl's upset. Well, no, she runs to the, I can't remember what they call that, but it's bodega. I didn't quite understand what happened to her leg, and it was brought up a couple of times. Now I have a feeling it's going to unfold and tell you more in the story. But as I read that book, I thought I still don't quite understand what happened to her leg, because it wasn't, the way I take it, it wasn't the nemesis that caused this at school. It was something else. And for some reason, if I had a gash in my leg, I would be concerned and want to cover it up. But for some reason, it seemed to me like it was more, there was
Yeah.
something more going on.
Yeah. There's definitely parts and pieces of the story that are left vague and unanswered. I kind of found that a little like off-putting. Like I was like, okay, this has got to be like a long run piece of story device here, because there's zero explanation that I could find about the leg myself as well.
Okay, because I kept reading it, says, well, give me
Maybe I
something.
misread, but I didn't see it. So,
Well,
but
I went and read it again thinking maybe I just missed something, but
well, the
um,
funny thing is I mean, as a good writer, you throw something like that out there and you leave it there at the beginning and then say nothing about it for like 4 or 5 chapters. And then you go, oh, hey, you remember that thing for chapter one? Now it's back and it's a problem.
yeah, it's that may be intentional,
Hmm.
and it may be that they started. It's explained later on in the story. One thing in this, I have so many thoughts on this because it's a manga. So what? How many pages was it? Over 70 pages, I think they said. In it,
81. 81
81 pages.
total.
But this is something when Lone Wolf and Cub first started coming out in the late 80s in the United States. My buddy Britt, I always have to mention him in every show.
Ah,
But Britt and I were writing letters back in the 80s, and he said how wonderful it would be to have this many pages to tell your story. Because us that read American comics, you'd have 17 to 20 pages. And it was just hard to imagine you get that many pages to tell a story on it.
yeah.
This one, it tells the story. I didn't find it where in American comics I always refer to decompressed stories, that they could tell the story in 22 pages and they tell it in 6 or 12 issues. They made use of the the pages. A lot of story goes on. A lot of different characters are coming in. A lot of background, but I never felt rushed. and I never felt like, oh, come on, let's wrap this up. Reading it digitally, I couldn't tell what page I was on, which is something I don't like. You kids get off my lawn. But but there were several times in the story, I thought, God, don't end it here. It can't end here. And it didn't. And when it did end, I'm thinking, well, where's the second one? Which is what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it kept my interest to it. The girl doesn't seem to know. One, I feel for the main character because they never say anything about the mother, but her father, who seemed like a terrific father, the little bit we've seen of him, and then they tell you he's gone. I'm not going to spoil anything else in the story, but that was kind of imperative.
Yeah.
And how she was surviving, extremely resourceful person. And what I liked was the character isn't thinking about herself. She's thinking about other people. She,
Mhm.
all the way through the story, she's concerned about other people and trying to help them, even though she's a young person that needs her parents desperately, but she makes the best of what she's got.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she really does. Yeah.
Thinks on her feet,
I
even though
guess,
she doesn't seem to think so.
well, yeah, all kids don't think they need their parents. I mean, come on, you know. So you know, the cool thing is if anybody wants to find this comic, it's easy to find. The website for it is timecrunchcomics.com.
I love that.
Yeah, right. What a great freaking name for a comic company, Time Crunch Comics. The book's up there, 15.99. You can buy it. There's also a print in the name of time. Beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
print on the site. But the thing I really like about it is, and this is something that I saw out here. There's a sticker, and it's her in front of the mirror thing, and it's in the school outfit, in the Time Witch outfit, and across the top it says Black Girl Magic.
Yeah, I love
Don's
that.
Don's probably not as amused as I am by that because he doesn't watch the Marvel movies.
Uh, not much. I am going to read the back cover because it kind of tells you nicer
Yeah.
than what we've just went over.
Yeah.
But it says, meet Dorothy. She's a regular teenage girl. She oversleeps. Her homework is late, and she may get into a fight or two. But at the end of the day, she's always ready to stand up for those in need. One day, while minding her business and barely getting to school on time, she bumps into the wealthy heiress, Constant Grove. Unbeknownst to the two of them, this chance meeting sets the motion an ancient mystical prophecy. That one I did like because neither one of them liked each other from afar.
Mm-hmm.
Things kept going on. And then I like the fact that the girl, she's always running late,
Yeah.
not turning her assignments in. And I hate to say it, I was that way my early years in school. I got better. but I had both my parents and I didn't have an excuse. So, reading on, it says, turns out Dorothy is the Time Witch, a breed of magical users who were thought to be extinct. Constance, a witch of a different sect and a vigilante by night, takes it upon herself to enter into a witch's contract with Dorothy and train her in order to protect the young witch from those who want to make sure that time witches remained extinct. Supernatural crime, handled ancient prophecy, activated waking up on time. Dorothy will have to get back to you. All of that and more available now in this action-packed issue 1. Clock into the magic of this mystical journey. I like the fact that there's magic to it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really explain it, but it does seem grounded and rooted. And I will say, I can't remember that other witch's name, but the older witch, one of the kids referred to as that expensive lady. When she first shows up, there's a voice talking and she says, show yourself, don't be shy. And then she creates out of the ground like a root bubble
Yeah.
that she's in. And then the person's there or whatever the thing is. I love that.
I I love that idea, but I also liked the exit. The exit from the vine cocoon thing, with the little kid was like, "Whoa."
Well, that's what I liked about the book, because it's not they don't explain, they show you.
Mhm.
And I will say, I said this earlier when we were talking about this, but the communication between the writer and the artist is it's not something that I see, but it's absolutely there. I mean, it's almost like the work of one person, although it's richer than if it was one person. But the artist and the writer are completely in tune with each other and what they're doing. There's there's so many other things in this book. You know, there's a male character that kind of makes her stop and forget to breathe when he shows up. Um, you deal with a teacher. There's a lot of things, and also I hate to say this, corporate interests, and going on in it, and a lot of working parts that a student wouldn't quite understand or see.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's I highly recommend it, and I want to read the next one.
Yeah, yeah, I know. The problem with me is these are good sized books. I don't have space, so I'm gonna have to do these digital.
Yeah, I don't like reading digital. I mean, I appreciate when the creator sends the digital to us, but I I'm glad to have digital to read. And this one, I didn't feel lost. I actually enjoyed this immensely.
Mhm.
And that does amaze me that it doesn't matter who you are, to do over, around 80 pages of a story together.
Yeah, that's a
That's
lot.
monumental.
Yeah.
I had trouble when I tried to do four. They weren't at that level.
I'd be curious how long they took working on the actual finished piece from, from the point that they got started writing to final production. You know, it's it's always interesting to me to know that kind of stuff because, we all know here I am talking about writing comics how many times now on the show? Still haven't
Well,
gotten anything done.
I've done that in the past. I think I've probably done 20 pages, uh, probably about 40 in my life. And it's hard. You know,
Yeah.
I made it up as I went along and drew it, which isn't ideal,
No,
but
you should
it's
read the script.
and I got another 8-page story that I've desperately wanted to do. I've got parts of it, but I mean, it's just never, it's hard. Comics, it's hard to do comics. And I have to admit, I hate to be this person, but I really despise people that can. So even though I love this book and I appreciate it being sent, and I'm happy to talk about it, but I despise both the creator, writer, and artist of this book.
Because they have the talent and the time and they got it done.
They knew how to do it. And it's quite nice. The
That's,
artwork, again, the artwork, everything does its job. The artwork is nice to look at. I love the panel layouts. I love the composition of the panels. I love the page compositions. And I never got lost. I really like the story. It's pretty rich. It's full of all kinds of stuff.
yeah, it's
And
a great book. I mean,
even
absolutely. Um, I don't know. Checking on the social media stuff and everything, really, she's really promoing just the first issue at the moment. So keep an eye to find out when the second one comes.
yeah, I'll keep an eye out. We'll have this posted to the blog if you want to. We'll have the cover in a couple of pages, and then we'll have links if you want to go check it out further. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to imagine it's going to be regular manga size. The book.
Yeah, that's the curiosity. I don't know. I didn't catch any of that while I was. Hold on. Let me see if I can tell you that. No, it's bigger. It's not manga size from what I'm seeing.
Oh,
Yeah, no, no. We're talking about basic standard comic size from what I'm seeing.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Regular
yeah,
American comic size?
yeah. Yeah, because I found the Instagram for the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm looking at, yeah, normal comic size.
I am going to say some of it would work well as a regular comic size, but some of the pages had a lot of panels in it. I'm reading them on an iPad. And I never had any issue, but I'm thinking, well, if this is shrunk down, those are going to be microscopic.
Mhm.
So maybe that's good. But some of the pages, it would have been fine as a regular manga, but I wouldn't mind seeing it as a regular comic size. Hmm.
Heck yeah. All right, why don't we go ahead and take a music break? We're gonna come right back and we're gonna talk about some more comics.
You got it. Funny thing, that was music by JC. Actually, I know JC. He was one of my brother's best friends, became a close friend of mine. And he creates songs and hires other people to do them. So even though we played them, it's always a different singer usually, and I just find them beautiful. And he puts them out there for the world to hear. Anyway, there'll be links to his YouTube page, and thank you very much.
Nice.
Before we start talking about comics, I know this is against our interest, but I found a guy on YouTube that I can't stop watching.
Okay.
And the first one I saw was Mobius. Is everybody listening to the show knows Mobius is my very favorite. He's a French creator. Everybody knows him as an artist, but he's written, he creates.
I have no memory of this. Who are we talking about?
But the guy's piece was about how one person completely changed the face of comics, and that was Mobius. And I mean, not just comics, movies. All the movies that started coming out, Aliens, Star Wars, up to a point was influenced by him. That was one of the influences to it. Blade Runner was based off of a Mobius short story he did with Dan O'Bannon. But I just remember I was walking the planet and reading comics at the time, and Frank Miller's Ronin was heavily influenced by Mobius. Um, Walt Simonson did work, Star Slammers and stuff. Where I mean, Walt Simonson is Walt Simonson, but you could see a Mobius influence to it. It just went on down the line. Anyway, this guy does a fantastic documentary about that, and it doesn't stop. I watched that, and I started watching other ones. He talks about comic history and manga history, but he shows examples, and he's an incredible speaker. And I mean, these things are.
What's the channel?
It's called Matt, but it's spelled with 4 T's. It'll be on the blog. I also put it on the sidebar of our blog. It's down at the bottom, and it's I put videocast or vidcast, and I just thought everybody should have a chance to see this person. Come to find out, I've seen a few of them already. Scott Connor sent me one, and I apologize. I can't remember what it was called, but it's Matt.
Yeah. Matt, comics and manga history.
Yeah,
Very much.
and that's rightly so. Even though I can only remember the Mobius one, I watched about, I don't know, I want to say 8 of them. And it's so far, every one of them, I just stop what I'm doing and watch. I don't like to sit there and watch that much TV. I like to go do things. And but I've sat there and watched them. So I feel you should do that as well.
Yeah, he's definitely got some interesting videos on here. I mean, how terrible artists made millions. How did a broke comic book shop build $1 billion empire?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think he did one on Carl Barks. Yeah, the
yeah,
Donald Duck guy,
yeah,
which is
he's got quite a few videos on here.
yeah, the Donald Duck one, or the Carl Barks one. I'm sorry. He says Erased by Disney. I think that was his. I saw that a long time ago. I didn't realize it was the same guy. But he tells the whole story. Like I said, I was in high school and I found out that the guy that did the Donald Duck story that I love so much was Carl Barks. I just call him the guy that drew really good.
He's got a 27-minute video on the Etchonaut. Don's over here laughing. Off, you can't see it, but he's over here laughing.
Yeah, it's everybody seemed to know about the astronaut but me. But like I said, he's really interesting and he researches everything and he's really good at bringing it forward. And every time I watch these videos, I see more that I wasn't aware of, or maybe I was aware of, but I wouldn't tell anybody about it. Just something you kind of think deep inside.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I put on the sidebar of the blog because I just feel like if you're interested, it's there. And YouTube has a lot of good comic stuff, which drives my wife insane because she comes in, "What are you watching?" "Oh, it's just talking about comics." It's my favorite thing.
What's funny is I'll watch a lot of like D&D story, like history story videos during the course of the day. I don't have anything going on. I'm just sitting there at the computer. I'm working, videos on, minute the phone rings, mute. Yep. All the time, man. This is how I make it through my day. And now, thanks to you, Don, I have 31 more videos to watch.
No, I can't stress this guy. Like I said, I've seen the Erased by Disney. I couldn't remember that, but I didn't realize it was the same person. And the Mobius one, I'd seen that at another point, but I watched it again, and then I just started going down the line. Oh man, this guy's something. All kinds of comics, not just one kind. And I think everybody should know. I found another book in a half off bin at Nerd Out Comics in Tampa, and it's called Concrete Park.
I think I've seen this before, but I don't think I've ever picked it up. How is it?
I loved it. The first thing is the cover catches me. I like the drawing. I like the title design. It's something I go for. But I opened the thing up because a lot of times I like the cover artwork and it doesn't look anything like the insides. Same artist.
Nice. That's so good when they have the same artist.
Now, basically, what this is, the end papers, it says a map of Scare City. And
like a video game map.
yeah, it's got graphics and has the different I don't know, I guess the different gangs that run parts of these cities and has their logos and text. And I really like the graphic design of this book. But she's telling her story about when she was growing up. This is something that I'm not part of this world. This is life in the tough streets. This is gangster,
Yeah.
It's not something that I really look for. I like spaceships. I like swashbuckling. I like stuff like that. This one is telling this woman's story and how she basically becomes the leader of one pretty well-respected group, and she's being called to a meeting, and she can't show up with any firearms, and everybody in this place is just loaded.
Of course.
So she's showing up. She has a girlfriend. And I'll tell you, that reminds me of a Goya painting, that one panel.
Mm-hmm.
But this woman, you feel for her, and it's like she's basically been, this world has been thrust upon her and she has to survive. And she's making the best of it, but she wants something else. She's doing whatever she can to, keep things running. She's smart, she's resourceful, but she's really tough, but she's got heart. Anyway, she's remembering her past, which I like how the artist is showing that. It's kind of, it's colored, but it's kind of brown tones and kind of faded.
Yeah, faded memories in the background.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice to see. She goes through the city, there's all kinds of colorful characters. Everything just kind of, as you expect, it goes sideways. I don't really want
to. The funny thing is if things didn't go sideways, what kind of story would that be?
I know. This guy here is a shapeshifter.
What?
And, yeah, I mean, he can change appearances, which is kind of amazing.
So there is some super elementation to this book.
But it's just like the Time Witch story we just talked about. It's rooted. It's kind of grounded.
Yeah, very grounded. Okay.
Because, I mean, as you can see here, like she's, a guy's got her in the knife, they're holding her. I mean, this is real kind of stuff here.
Yeah.
This guy comes kind of sashaying in. I hate to say it, but kind of a dorky kind of guy compared to all these tough people you got here. And the other women that are behind her at times in the story, they can't stand the person, and they're like, "This is you," because he imitated the ladies at times, and stuff like that, which they don't appreciate very much. But he turns out to be kind of a wild card. Also, they play a lot with time in this, because at one point she's in a van being taken to prison, and they all have barcodes on their shaved heads with barcodes on their foreheads.
Right.
And no, I mean, sorry, on the side of their neck, one side of their neck. And I think she's got 3 barcodes. They go down at line. So basically it showed that she's escaped twice and they got her again. But at one point, they're all getting confused. They're wanting to fight. And, the guys are wanting to fight each other. And she's telling them, keep your head, don't let them get to you. But it's like kind of a mind wash, they're doing to them.
Right.
And she's fighting it the whole time, and she gets out again. And this is all kind of in the past. The only thing I didn't like about it was it ends, but it doesn't. There's another book of something I never heard of, and I found this in a cutout rack.
That's not that old of a book. I'm sure you'll be able to hunt down more of those pretty easy.
Yeah, it's Dark Horse. Yeah, I'll find it, but
oh yeah,
it just okay, great. This is I wanted a standalone book.
Oh,
but like I said, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it more than I thought. I bought it because I liked how the artwork looked. I'm not really into the whole gang culture kind of stuff, And I guess it's not a world that I want to be in. And according to this, it's not a world that she wants to be in either.
Mm-hmm.
But it did suck me in, and I am going to find the other book or books. So anyway, Concrete Park, I recommend it. And if you see it on a regular store shelf, it's worth the full price. I'll be paying that for the other parts of the story.
So Don, I got something I want to talk about real quick with you. Something interesting that I've seen happen. Well, a lot of people seen happen. One of the complaints that I've seen with some of the Marvel movies versus the Marvel television series is not a lot of crossover. You know, we're not seeing like Daredevil, Luke Cage, showing up in the cinematics. The cinematics are affecting the television series, but the television series has no cross into the cinema stuff. Now,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
now, a lot of people have taken for granted that there is one character that has crossed over into all of that, into both, okay, and been the same character, basically. And that's the Watcher.
Oh, the Watchers in these movies?
Oh, see, this is why I'm trying to get you to watch this stuff, Don.
I've watched a few. Now, I did watch the second Guardians of the Galaxy. My daughter wanted to see it, so we went, and I really had a good time.
Okay, so
And
the
they did
Watchers
they
show
showed
up,
more than one Watcher in it,
right?
and which I really enjoyed that part. And I hate to be this guy, but what spoiled it for me was Stan Lee, blah 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 blah, all the way through. That was unnecessary. I know people like that. He irritates me to no end.
Right. That's because, well, there's yes, Stan has a certain annoyance point with the deep fandom. You know,
Yeah.
uh, he has a special place in my heart, but he also has an annoyance point in my heart too. So for you, he's just annoying.
I,
So
I will say, I think he is the greatest editor that ever lived. You know,
there we go.
I you say other things about him and stuff, but
Yeah.
he was the one that basically polished those books, promoted the books, and also put everything together. Like we were just talking about, people are complaining about there's not a lot of interaction between the movie and the TV shows. In comics, there was no interaction much at all. I mean, Justice League were the different characters in the team, but in Marvel, all the books kind of intertwined, and that was
Right.
Stan Lee kind of kept that part together.
Right. That's one
So
of the big things that I always
yeah,
admired about Marvel.
I gave him big props for that part. Other things he takes credit for, I don't, and that's neither here nor there. But I thought the Watchers in Guardians of the Galaxy was neat. But
So now over in the animated Marvel stuff, the Watcher has played a big role in the what if. Of course, it's the Watcher, it's what if. But Marvel did something very interesting that the fandom noticed last week. The Watcher showed up in the background of Daredevil Born Again.
oh,
So the live action Daredevil TV series is where we finally get some acknowledgement, I feel, with all of that getting tied in. So like, yes, there's references, there's talk about the characters in the TV series, but for the Watcher to be watching Daredevil,
yeah.
what does that mean for what's coming up next for the phases of the releases? There's talk about Secret War. Is the Watcher somehow going to be involved in recruiting heroes to the war? There's all kinds of theories out there right now, but I think it's nice to finally get some of that Marvel crossover uh connections between
yeah.
everything, not just references, not just these lowly street heroes down here on the television series don't show up anywhere in the movies. So I think it's time for these characters and these performers who are doing this series to start getting some acknowledgement on a bigger screen.
It could be. I don't remember the Watcher ever in Daredevil, except there was a What If back in, I think, 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Miller drew it. I think he wrote and drew it. But the Watcher was in that because, it was, like you said, What If.
But that's a what if with Daredevil.
Yeah, it was What If Elektra Lived, as they told the story. So there was that one instance, and it's kind of neat, you know, because Daredevil was always really street level all the time, even in the comics. He didn't really, you know, Neat.
Well, even in like major events like Inferno, Daredevil stayed at street level.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I always love about that character. But I mean, at least a little interaction in a movie. I mean, come on, Marvel, throw a little money to have like I don't know, Daredevil show up in the new Spider-Man movie, maybe. That would be friggin' awesome. And it's been a big theory for a lot of people too. Somebody else is in that movie. There's a scene, and of course, Daredevil makes the most sense since it looks like we're pretty sure that Spider-Man's fighting against the Hand.
Oh,
And the Hand has been the enemy in the Daredevil series, so why not have him come in now?
yeah. Thanks to Frank Miller.
Yeah, right?
You know, here's my introduction to Daredevil. And this isn't going to be on the blog because I don't know what issue it was, and I'm not going to dig this thing up. But as I tell people all the time, when I was growing up, you'd see Marvel Comics once in a while. You'd look at a spinner rack, you might find 2 or 3 Marvel Comics, if that. Random issues. It was DC, Harvey, Archie comics, that kind of stuff. But my dad was a technician, and where he worked at, he had a truck. And one time, I guess they switched trucks on him. He got a different one. And he came home and he gave me a stack of probably 12 Incredible Hulk comics.
Nice.
And like I said, Marvel comics, when I was a kid, they seemed kind of counterculture. The characters were scary. The DC characters were all like your really cool uncle, which I liked when I was a kid. And when they met up, they were instant friends. Of course. The Marvel was those guys a fight. They were sinister. They were, they'd fought each other all the time. They were acting like bratty, spoiled kids, with superpowers.
Yeah.
And the Hulk, I don't know, as a kid, I saw when I was 5 some of those bad animated comic panels that they showed. The world's greatest superheroes or something like mightiest superheroes they showed in '66. A lot of the ones I saw was the Hulk. And I'm like, God, he's just mean. Everybody's afraid of him. I don't like this. But these were drawn by, I guess, Marie Severin and Herb Trimpe. And one issue, everybody was fighting. The Fantastic Four was in it, which I liked. Daredevil was in it. There were some others. I can't remember the other characters. But at one point, Daredevil is got that line, the Billy Club with the long line he swings off of. And Hulk gets hold of it and he swings Daredevil up in the air, and Daredevil slams into the tail of a jet plane.
Oh man.
And I mean, when I say slam, I mean he body slammed that thing and was out. And later it was Sue Storm or Sue Richard, the Invisible Woman. She said, she named a couple of characters out. And she's like, just Daredevil's out. And I'm like, well, he just killed Daredevil. I mean, it's almost like he went splat. Yeah. I gotta remember, I'm a kid. And I'm like, what is this? Of course, I guess he survived because he went on. But I like Daredevil. I thought he was neat, and I didn't know he was blind. I was 12 when somebody I knew at school told me Daredevil was blind. What? He's blind and he's an acrobat? He's got a radar sense. I thought that was awesome. And then Frank Miller was the one that kind of said the radar sense was the crunch. That's why Stick was teaching him. You got the senses, you're just not using them. I love that.
Yeah.
But he normally didn't. He was in the Fantastic Four when Kirby did it, which was neat. And he was with the other. He was a Spider-Man a lot. I remember in Marvel Team Up and stuff. But yeah, he usually doesn't do that. And I don't know that you did say something about the Daredevil TV show, but I don't have access to those channels, and I'm not really going to worry about it right now. But I will someday, and I'll gain 30 pounds by sitting there watching all these shows.
Oh yes, you will. Trust me. I actually marathoned all of the original Netflix Daredevil, Jessica Jones, um, Iron Fist, um, Luke Cage, Defenders. I did them all in chronological order of the of the release, so that like everybody kept meeting everybody at the right times instead of doing. So it was like season one of this, season one of this, season
Yeah.
two of this, season. It took me months, absolute freaking months to do.
Well,
Uh,
did you enjoy it?
oh yeah, it was absolute insanity. I mean, like to see because like when they released, I watched them all as they came out, but to back to back to back to back watch the whole storyline go down, that was wild.
Yeah.
Now, um, honestly,
I
the only way I finished it is when my wife went on the cruise. So we weren't watching any shows together, so I was
yeah.
just watching that.
That's a couple of things on that. I saw the original Daredevil because somebody I worked out with liked it, and he kept saying you need to watch it. At the time, it was on Netflix, and I watched I don't know a handful of episodes. They were following the Frank Miller work in the early '80s, which I liked. Um, I watched Iron Fist. You and I talked about it on an old episode.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there were some things about that I really liked because
Yes.
in the comic book, his dad was a captain of industry, I guess you'd say it.
Hmm.
Most guys in comics are captains of industry. I mean, it's just you, Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark. You go down the whole line, and and for some reason, the comic it's not. I knew Danny Rand had some money, but when you watch the show, I thought that was kind of neat how he shows up and his dad's gone and other people have taken over the company. He's not welcome and nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, I
I
thought it
thought
was
that was
great.
neat. Yeah. I didn't like the actor playing Iron Fist because he just didn't convince me that he would get the Iron Fist. and
Well, the problem with that is that he was a horrible martial artist. No, I mean, and the thing that kills me is like you and I both have studied martial arts,
yeah,
and
extensively.
like we actually had this conversation recently with some friends. I did, uh, and we determined that Steven Seagal was absolutely the worst martial artist action star that ever was. And I actually put the guy who played him, played Danny Rand, maybe a few steps above him,
Oh,
but he's still down there, man.
well, I will say I wouldn't mess with Steven Seagal. I don't really enjoy watching his movies, but he has skill.
Yeah, no.
and,
I'm saying like on screen, like literally, I've watched Steven Seagal do like a Jedi hand wave to a guy who came nowhere
uh,
near him, and the guy did like a flip jump fall into a table thing, and they put that in the movie. You know? So yeah, cinematically the worst martial arts action star. And like I said, the guy who played Danny Rand is not far above him because it just the problem was acting wise towards the end of his run, he developed into the character enough where I was convinced.
oh,
And
good.
then he would do martial arts. And I was no longer convinced.
Well, the main thing I had, besides all the things you said, because I agree with all that, but he wasn't a disciplined person. And to get from the whole story, if he's in this secret place and in the comics, he got the Iron Fist, and there were other people upset about it that he got it and they didn't. He was a highly disciplined person.
Right.
You have to be that way to get it, focused and
Later in the series, I don't know if you watched the whole Iron Fist series, they talk about
no.
some of that about why he ended up with it, and he kind of shouldn't have in a way.
I got you. But see, in the comics, Danny Rand was a good character. I mean, he was a strong character and stuff. I don't know. I got to the point where the business part was interesting, and then people started coming to his side. He ended up taking over the business, I think, and then about that time, I don't know. I just I couldn't watch anymore.
Yeah.
And I apologize to people who really love this show because it's just me.
Don't worry about it, because there's not a huge group of people that are like, "Oh my God, I loved Iron Fist." There, the majority was, "Nah, yeah, okay, they made Iron Fist."
Yeah, but there are some people in the world that
No,
probably
there are
think that's
some.
the greatest thing, and it means a lot to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that I think is the greatest thing in the world, and I love, everybody hates and dismisses. So
No, respect to anybody who thought that that was the greatest thing they ever saw. Listen, if Iron Fist was your favorite character growing up and you watched that series and you thought it was absolutely freaking perfect, you know what? I'm here for you on that. Because my
yeah,
favorite
me
character
too.
growing up was Ghost Rider. And
Yeah.
y'all saw what they did to those movies, okay? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say when Crackle was a channel, a free channel, I would go on Crackle and watch a couple of things, and then I didn't know that if you after the whatever you're watching is over, they're going to keep showing stuff, which I kind of liked. And they showed the Nicolas Cage, that first Ghost Rider movie,
Oof.
which I like I said, I never had any interest in watching these, but that one came on, and I know doing the show with you, you get really upset about that movie, but I watched it. You know,
It was okay. So, like, here's the thing. Marvel always drops a movie the first weekend of May. Okay.
that wasn't a Marvel movie though, was it?
This movie happened to be dropped my birthday weekend, the beginning of
Oh,
May.
okay.
The beginning of May. So, like, there's been it's I think it actually may have even started with that movie showing up that first weekend of May along with Free Comic Book Day. That, like, this was just, the comic industry's gift for me to me for my birthday. Because, I'm that important? Not at all.
Oh, you are that important.
But
The
so, like,
city would fall apart if he didn't live there.
oh, please. Uh, so, like, this big group goes to the movie theater, and we get to the end of the movie, and like, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I realize I'm watching the credits because I'm expecting credit stuff to start, something after the credits. And all of a sudden I realize everybody I'm with is staring at me, and they're like, "What'd you think?" I was like, "Eh, it's okay." And everybody was like, "Wait, what? Really? It was just okay?" It's like, "Yeah, yeah, it was just okay."
Yeah, but at the same time, you're really invested deeply into this.
Yeah.
Again, this is the issue I have with the Marvel movies, because people I worked with would come talk to me and says, "Are you going to see Daredevil?" That first Daredevil before they were Marvel movies,
Right.
and I, no, I had no interest, and they look at me like it's weird, but the only time I've ever liked a comic book movie was I really love Superman 2, the Christopher Reeve movie. I mean, I absolutely love that. And The Rocketeer,
Oh,
I love that. That's my favorite. Those
so
two
well
are my
done.
favorite comic book movies. But The Rocketeer, even though they had to change the story some, at the end, instead of Doc Savage, it was basically
Yep.
a fake Charles Lindbergh.
So,
But
like, here's how I kind of deal with the Ghost Rider movies. That's the thing they did. They also made a movie called Nicholas Cage, or Nick Cage, Agent of Shield, starring David Hasselhoff.
yeah,
Mistakes have
Nick
been
Fury,
made.
Nick Fury.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what did I just say?
Nick Cage. Oh, we're
Nick Cage,
talking about
Nick
Ghost
Cage,
Rider.
yeah, because he's in my brain now. Oh my
A
god.
common mistake.
So like, they made a Nick Fury movie, they made a Ghost Rider movie. They made a bunch of crappy comic book movies over the years. Okay, they come back and do them better later. There's some conversation about a new Ghost Rider movie out there. I can't remember the guy that they keep talking about being cast. Yeah, whatever. Ghost Rider is going to be Ghost Rider and is going to look amazing to me no matter what. Okay. I love the look of the Ghost Rider and the motorcycle in the first movie. I absolutely thought the Ghost Rider in the second movie was so dark, so creepy. It was beautiful. Probably the design of the rider, the way the flames and the outfit was, absolutely brilliant in that movie. Much, much grittier. Now, the first movie was the Danny Kench Ghost Rider, even though it was Johnny Blaze. The second movie was Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. And the funny thing is at one point in that movie, he ended up on a Danny Kench style motorcycle.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the issue with a lot of the movies and stuff. Was I'm really invested in the comics. They're in my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies in the past just never live up to it.
Right.
Now, the first year we were doing the podcast, I had some John Carter comics we talked about, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And I mentioned they're making a movie.
Yep.
Now, I was thinking it was going to be a dog of a movie, and I even said it unsure, like they're making a movie. Well, I love that movie. I watched that constantly. I bought the DVD for full price, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly, and when it comes on, I think it was on Tubi. I watched it, I don't know, 40 times.
Yep.
The guy that tries not to watch a lot of TV. I adore that movie.
Great movie.
It's a great movie.
It got horrible reception, and I don't understand why. I really don't.
I told my wife, she found out I wanted to see it. This is when I'm running to school, working a lot of overtime at my job. My life was regimented, my own doing. And the only time we could go see it was Sunday. And she made a point of rearranging the whole day so we could go see the film. And the only time we could see it was at 12:11 on Sunday, 12 in the afternoon.
Yep.
Because all the other ones were 3D. I don't like 3D
Yeah, no,
movies.
thank you.
And I've seen a few. I don't really care to see them. And so anyway, we went, and there was 20 people in the theater with us. And which for some reason these days seems like a lot of people now, but back then that was like sparse. And when the film was finished, my wife looked at it and said, "That was good." And you heard different people in the theater look at that was really good. But when people rented the movie, they said, "That's a good movie." And they were always wondering why. There's a book, Scott Connor told me about it. Hi, Scott. But it's about the making of John Carter and all the things that Disney did wrong. And the marketing stuff. Also, they were trying to turn the John Carter into a franchise like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Instead, they bought Star Wars and Marvel Comics.
And they just took John Carter and went trash can.
But to me, that doesn't bother me because it was a great movie. It ended. It wasn't like a cliffhanger. And I mean, they could have made some more, but be happy with what you get. I really like that. But the Marvel movies now, I've seen, actually, I bought the first Iron Man movie, and I really like it. I really enjoyed that one. Because at work, a lot of people would always ride my case about seeing the movies, so they'd lend me their DVDs. So I saw the first Avengers movie. I saw the first Thor movie. I saw the Captain America movie. And I mean, I liked them fine, but I didn't really want to see them again. The Captain America movie I thought was the greatest thing. And when they showed the World's Fair and they had the original Human Torch in it and that vial, just like the comics, I said, I'm buying this. I'm going to buy this. And then he becomes Captain America and they have him in USO shows. And the whole movie just to me slid to a halt. I don't know. it spoiled it. I don't like the movie after that.
Come on. The
That's just me.
the U.S. military mismanagement of its greatest asset. You didn't like that? I
Well,
mean, come
I
on.
see. I
That's
see where you're coming
completely
from.
not. I know it's an unbelievable thought, but
But yeah. Now I will say the end of the Captain America movie, where he's in a 1940s style hospital, and then he runs out, and that's when
Yep.
Nick Fury stops him. I thought that was super awesome. So
Really,
I mean, it redeemed itself at the end.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said,
It was great after he got past the USO stuff for me because that's when he started to shine. We started seeing the Howling Commandos,
yeah,
we started seeing Hydra, all of this wild tech that was actually historically accurate for
yeah.
some of the things they were trying to do in Germany at the time. Uh, uh, like I said, the USO show was just funny. And then when it's got past that, I was like, now we're Captain America.
There was a guy I worked with. He didn't read comics, but he liked the movies. And when he heard me say that, he goes, "I love the USO show," and I mean deeply. He really loved it, and that's fine. Everybody has different things. I didn't, but I like the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, the
I
Ant-Man
never
movies are
saw the third
so.
one. You told me.
You know what? I'm pretty sure we can go back in time on this show and find me and quote me saying, I have no idea how this movie's going to work. I think it's going to bomb. The Ant-Man movies are some of the best.
Yeah, they're great. I saw the first. Myrna and I saw it in the theater, and when it's finished, she squealed and goes, "It's like a real movie." When I said that on the show, Dallas was like, "Real movie?" Well, yeah, because it was like a movie you go see and it takes you on an adventure. Whereas a lot of the Marvel movies, as good as they are, it's a genre. It's a
Yeah.
genre that, you know what I mean? The
It's for
Ant-Man
certain
movie,
kind of people.
yeah, exactly. Ant-Man had a universal appeal and also had a lot of 70s references. The whole van and the crew and the van. It reminded me of like when you watch 18, of course that was 80s, but you know what I mean? It was a lot of It reminded you of Starsky and Hutch and a lot of this stuff you used to watch on TV before you were born, Rook.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of that stuff is but that's part of the fun of what that movie was. It was throwback, it was weird, it was campy and different. The rest of the Marvel movies, while they had their jokes and stuff, felt like they were taking themselves too serious. Ant-Man came in and just kind of like slapsticked its way into Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say with the movies, I think the decisions they made are really interesting and good decisions. You know, how they, in Captain America, how Bucky was an adult and he was basically the muscle when Steve Rogers was the skinny guy. Instead
Yeah,
of, in the comics, Bucky was a kid that snuck into Europe, which
yeah,
made no sense.
yeah, and a little
But
creepy.
yeah, but there was, and how they update the costumes. Like Captain America's costume was kind of a military utility thing, even though it was, a bright superhero costume. But there's a lot of decisions they made. We went to see the Fantastic Four movie, and again, Myrna absolutely loved it. But Fantastic Four is my favorite. That's one of my very favorite comics, my favorite Marvel comic, and I liked what they did with it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. I think the new Fantastic Four movie was probably the best thing they could have done because the last three, eh, the third one where they tried to reboot, that was bad.
oh, the Fantastic Four ones,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The previous ones. Don, man, unfortunately, we got to wrap up the conversation because I have to go throw things at balls. No, seriously, I'm going to go throw some axes.
All right. Everybody, everything we talked about in the episode will be on the blog. Come check it out. Check out the links. And anyway, the Time Witch story, I highly recommend.
Absolute recommendation, everybody. Check this one out. But until next time.
Read.
More.
Comics.
You can hear our most recent 20 episodes on iTunes. If you would like to hear our older episodes, you can find them on our blog. Just go to bunchofdorks.com and click on the Cyclops.
Your Dimension can be found on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe, rate, leave a review, tell a friend, or like us on Facebook. Thanks for listening.
Do you want to be part of the show? Draw us a fake comic book cover, and we'll use it to promote new episodes online.
If you'd like to promote your music, send us your MP3 and you can have a musical spotlight on our show. Plus, we'll add your link on our music page.
We have 3 t-shirt designs. Find them on the sidebar of the blog. Listen to the show. Wear the shirt.